Okay, so this is going to be a tutorial about how to do a turntable style render for a character in 3ds Max. I'm going to put my head in front of the camera. Hopefully it's not still in front of the camera, but... Alright, so the first thing I got to do is, I'm in Windows 8 and that helps nothing. Thanks, Windows 8. So the first thing is I need to open up a character. So I will just grab, let's see what I got. Scenes. I'll do Alright, I'll do this one. So when I open up the character, I don't need all that stuff. I'm gonna get rid of my ground plane. I don't really need that for turntable style animation render thing. Get rid of my cameras that I have, and that should be good. Alright, so I'm going to go into the front view. Currently I have my viewport set up so it's showing safe frames. This means that it will only show what is going to render. So to find that, right now I'm in front view. If I just click on that, I can go down and check show safe frame. I also want to set up what my render will look like. So I'm going to do the active time segment, which is 0 to 299 frames, and I'll show you where to set that up as well. I want this to be 720 by 480, something like that, 486, that's fine. And that's good enough for my setup. You'll see since I changed my my video settings, my safe frame has changed. So next thing that I want to do is go into cameras, free camera, just make one in the viewport. I'll make sure that I move it to 0 because my character is zeroed, and kind of line it up with my character. I kind of like to line it up about with the character's head. And now if I hit C, I'll go into camera view, which puts me inside of his neck, and I'm going to go down here and use the dolly camera, so it's like on the upper left of the camera viewport thing. So I'll zoom out a little bit. I'm going to go to rotate. I'm going to rotate down in the X direction, and I'll zoom out a little bit more. And rotate down just slightly again. Hit F4 so you can see that my character is currently in the center here. So I'll go into perspective view, and with my camera selected I'll go into the hierarchy panel. I'll affect pivot point only. I will move my pivot point in the Y direction to 0. My camera should already be centered to the X direction because I already did that, and I'll also do align to world just so I have a nice rotation. Now with my setting up my timeline here, I can go down to time configurations down here, click on it, and that'll open up my time configurations prompt. And I want my start time to be 0 and my end time, I'm going to put 300 in there for now. So I've centered my camera's pivot point around my character. That's what I did here in the hierarchy panel. So now I can turn on auto key, and that'll set up my animation. I'll go to frame 300, and I will rotate the camera 360 degrees, making sure to have my angle snap toggle turned on. And now if I turn off auto key, I can see that the camera will rotate around my guy. And if I go to hit C for camera and hit play, you can see that the camera will rotate around. Now you also see that his feet are getting cut off. If I wanted to dolly out a little more, I'd have to recenter my pivot point. Underneath I have a field of view option, which is right under dolly camera. And this just changes my field of view, so I can just zoom that out a little bit just to cover any spots where he's getting cut off. So he's getting cut off a little bit there. I'll just do field of view, and it kind of looks like it's zooming out, but it's not really. Okay, the heel's getting cut off. Come out just a little more. Make sure I can see all of him. And there we go. So now I can see all of him all the way around. The other thing I have to do is I have to change how my keyframes are. Right now they ease in and ease out. So if I hit play, you'll notice it starts slow. It's kind of hard to tell, but it does pick up speed. And then whenever it comes back to the last frame here, it'll slow into that last frame. I don't want that slow in and slow out. So up at the top here we have the curve editor. So I'll click that to open it. This curve shows that the rotation of my camera eases out and then eases in. I don't want that. So I'm going to select both keyframes and I'll come up to set tangents to linear. I'll do that. Now this is nice and straight. I'll close the curve editor, and if I re-watch, now there's no ease in and no ease out, which is what I want. This last frame that I have, frame 300, the camera is at the same position that it is at the beginning. So I don't need to render that frame twice. If I want this to be a looping animation, I actually want to go back down to time configuration and set my end time to 299. That will cut off the last frame and it won't re-render the last frame, which is the same as the first frame. I'll go back up to render set up. I have my active time segment set up. I've got the size that I want, 720 by 486. And then down here I've got save file. I want to check that if it's not checked. If you haven't previously saved, which you shouldn't have, just go into files and you want to tell it where to save. So I'll just render to the desktop. I'm going to do a QuickTime, and I'll call it whatever my character's name is, blah blah blah. You know, maybe put my name in there, Jason, and call it character, whatever. And click save. Whenever I do that, it might come up with a prompt asking me what settings that I want. It didn't do that, so that's fine. And now I have my files ready to be saved. Now that I have everything set up, I can just click render. When I do that, my little render prompt comes up. I got these warnings of mine. You won't have that, hopefully. That's just because my character's hands, enter, retry. Awesome! That's a good error to get. I don't know that I have movie, or this is a new computer, so I may not have QuickTime installed. So let's just do an AVI file. And I want my compressor for AVI. I'll just do uncompressed. I don't need it to be compressed. I'll hit OK. And again, I'll render. And so there you go. So now it'll begin to render out your turnaround. Depending on what your character looks like, right now my guy has a black jacket on it. It's kind of hard to see against the black background. So if I cancel my render, just click cancel. Take a second to stop. Still canceling, okay. I can change what the background color is of my render. If I go up to rendering in the top toolbar, come down to environment, the shortcut for it is 8. But I can come to this background color and that's from before. I'll set my color to maybe like a gray or a blue or something different. You can set it to different things, but I just want something that I can see my character against. So now if I click render again, it's going to ask, do I want to overwrite my last one? Yes, I do. And now when it renders, you can see that the background is gray. So that's all you really have to need to know about turning in your 360 render pass. So hope that was helpful.